Toshio Okada said I'll just watch the first 3 minutes. Yet couldn't stop and watch to the end. There's a film. The Devil Wears Prada. Why does a pro get glued to it in 3 minutes? Because the first 2 minutes pack the entire idea of life stages. This time, with a unique commentary angle, we dive into the trick. Class and stage are different. Class is fixed by birth. But stage isn't. Even living in the same Manhattan, what you do after waking up. In just 2 minutes of morning routine, the stage level becomes visible. Okada declares that proof of high stage shows in appearance. Not yesterday's record. Not natural beauty. Morning hair, accessory choice. 8 almonds for breakfast. Daily continued effort seeps into appearance. That's why Andy gets passed over at the interview. And the truth this edit uncovers. Hollywood films were originally built for the education industry. As a curriculum for raising your life stage. Okada reveals, for the first time, the lens to read this film. The opening 3 minutes click into place. Don't miss this commentary.
It's a story about a poor girl who succeeds and gets a peek into the upper class. But it's not really about class, it's about stages. Life stages, that's what it's about. The protagonist, Anne Hathaway, has a great face and a great figure, but that alone isn't enough for people to see her as high stage. She thinks she should be chosen for substance over appearance. But in this film, appearance is the proof of daily effort, and in just the first 2 minutes, those tiny 2 minutes, there's a morning routine. What you do after waking up shows the difference in stages. I'll walk you through it without spoilers. It's already January 3rd, 2022. The New Year feeling is fading. And many of you are starting work today. Honestly, this year didn't feel like New Year at all. Still, I doubt many people are at full activity yet. So today I want to introduce a film to watch in your spare time. Good evening. Happy New Year. This is the Toshio Okada seminar. So, this is the early January Toshio Okada seminar. For the Upgrade broadcast, a film special to watch during New Year break. I'll cover films across 2 episodes. Not sci-fi, not action. Not anime, not superhero. Just a really ordinary movie. Today's pick, a film famous for the Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway pairing. An upgrade video for The Devil Wears Prada, released 2006. Quick plot, at a New York publisher, a girl becomes the editor of a women's magazine. Fashion magazine editor. She's worked to the bone by a demonic boss, while juggling love and career. Some of you might say, I'm a guy, not for me. Or too sparkly for me. But this film is less sparkly than you'd think. Observe it carefully and it's incredibly fascinating. Because the lifestyle and mindset of the career-driven woman is depicted with remarkable precision. In a sense, it's like a cross-cultural exchange. And so, The Devil Wears Prada, the difference in women's stages. The difference in life stages is expressed clearly in the opening few minutes of the film. That's what I'll focus on today. This commentary started from a letter posted by a 30-something woman, Narapone, in our Reader's Mail corner. I always enjoy watching. As a request from past programs, I'd like a rerun of seminar number 362 on The Devil Wears Prada. She asked for a rerun. Thank you for the request. We'll send the sticker to Narapone. Thank you very much. This video is from October 11, 2020. The Toshio Okada seminar number 362, upgraded and rebroadcast. After the video ends, there's some bonus upgrade info, look forward to it. From here, the free video starts. Beginning with The Devil Wears Prada. The Devil Wears Prada aired on Friday Roadshow on October 16th. And honestly, I really love this film. It's not sci-fi or anything, just an ordinary girl's success story. If asked, is it groundbreaking? Well, there's a film called Working Girl from the early 1980s, and this is essentially a remake. Maybe not 1980. I forget exactly when Working Girl came out. Anyway, there's a film called Working Girl, and this is the female version of it. So in that sense, it's not super novel. The other day, I thought, how was the film, and decided to watch just the first 3 minutes. I watched the first 3 minutes, and I just couldn't stop. I ended up watching it through to the end. And, well, fascinating. Why fascinating? Because it's not about class. It's a girl, a poor girl who succeeds and peaks into upper class. But not really class, stages. Life stages, that's the topic. Class is determined by birth. But stage isn't a class fixed at birth. You can rise or fall personally, even without your income going up by a single yen. Stage is something even we can suddenly raise or lower. That's what life stage is. However, to stay at the stage you want, personal effort is required. What's called high consciousness in Japan is close to this concept of stage. But the word stage as Americans use it in daily life doesn't carry the negative connotation of high consciousness. Instead, the point is how well the details of your life fit or align with that stage. And to stay at the desired stage, daily effort is essential. And the simplest way to tell whether someone is making that effort is, in fact, their appearance. Appearance can't be maintained without daily effort. The protagonist, Anne Hathaway. She has a great face and figure, but that alone isn't enough to be seen as high stage, whether she's making the effort to look high stage. And that's somewhat unrelated to natural endowments. Through that, you can clearly see the effort being made throughout this film. The opening 2 minutes, those tiny 2 minutes of morning routine, what you do after waking up shows the difference in stages. I'll walk you through it without spoilers. First, the title sequence. Opening. The very top. Avant title. A foggy bathroom mirror. And the bathroom mirror. Anne Hathaway swipes it with her hand and starts brushing her teeth. She plays Andrea, Andy, the protagonist. From there, the next cut, a skyscraper view. The Manhattan skyline appears. The Devil Wears Prada. The title, The Devil Who Wears Prada. And here, the Manhattan skyline tells you. This is the setting. Living in the same city. We see girls with completely different morning routines. All of them are office workers in their mid-20s, like Andy. That much is the same, but their life stages differ. And the morning is so different. That's the story. Why is Andy's mirror the very first thing shown? Because it's the only mirror in her apartment. Everything she'd normally do at any mirror, she does at this bathroom sink. That's not because she's poor. Even poor people can afford a mirror. But she lives a life where she thinks, I don't really need a mirror. Letting the audience know she's a woman of that stage. Men in the audience often miss this. We just think, oh, a pretty girl brushing her teeth at a mirror. But a working woman would notice instantly. This girl doesn't pay attention to such things. That difference between men's and women's perception is interesting. Now, next. Next, a woman at a higher stage than Andy. First panel, hard to tell because the camera is pulling focus. But a fully windowed apartment, with Manhattan towers below. She's looking down on the buildings. An apartment in that kind of position. There, a woman wearing only underwear. Curtain open because she has nothing to hide. I.e., she leaves the curtain open because no window looks down on her. There are no taller buildings nearby, so no one can see in. From below, with the bright outside reflecting back, it'd be backlit in. No one could peek in, she's confident. Plus, she has the figure to flaunt and chooses not to hide. That's a high-stage way of thinking. Therefore, when upper-class people show more skin, that's the reason. It's a way of showing off that they're keeping their figure, i.e. not slacking on daily effort. First, in front of the wide open window. Open windows mean curtains are open. A woman putting on a bra. Second, next cut, a woman pulling on silk stockings. Silk stockings. Silk stockings ladder very easily. Once they ladder, you can't repair them, so she doesn't commute by train. Plus, she only works in office settings. Anyone whose office work involves any physical labor would never wear silk stockings. That tells you what kind of woman she is. In contrast, Andy. Andy pulls a pair of pants from her dresser. She looks through several pairs. Not for the color. She's checking which pair is still wearable, whether the lace has frayed or not. Based on the level of fraying, she goes, "This'll do," and puts them on. Next cut, choosing clothes. Difference in stages. First panel woman, the one in the best apartment, stands before her walk-in closet. A walk-in closet is an entire room dedicated to clothing. Scarves over here. Shoes here. Scarves, shoes, bags, plus jackets all laid out. Important, they're all in the same place. So she can stand at a large mirror and decide her outfit, head to toe. Sometimes celebrities show their walk-in closets, filled with only shoes or only bags. That's actually the poor person's way. Wealthy people store clothes in a separate room. Different clothes in different places. Per season, they pull together clothes and shoes into the walk-in closet and decide their outfits there. That's the upper-class method. She does it that way. Second panel woman is a bit poorer than the first. No walk-in, but choosing a skirt from her closet. She picks carefully. Sunlight through the window, she checks the skirt under sunlight and looks in a full length taller than her mirror to choose. Third one. Andy pulling out a coat. Kitchen window in the distance, dim room. She grabs a coat from a dry cleaner's wire hanger without even looking. Just, "It's cold, this'll do." No mirror, no coordination thinking. That's the kind of woman she is. That's Andy's life as the protagonist. Next, makeup. Wealthy woman opens her drawer and a row of cosmetics is laid out. But the real focus is the upper left. A silver-backed mirror, see? A vanity sink. Which means she has it permanently set out. So there's a dedicated makeup vanity. She has a vanity table in her room. That mirror, silver-backed mirrors hate humidity and fog up immediately. So they need constant polishing. The fact that she has one tells you about her excellent lifestyle. Then, a woman doing eye makeup, applying lipstick, applying rouge. And our Andy, the protagonist, and Hathaway. This is a bit small to see, but in the corner there's a chapstick. And she just applies chapstick. Reaches over for chapstick, and beside it, a notepad and keys. And a now nostalgic flip phone. Her keychain has only 2 keys. Which means her room key and her apartment building front door key, that's it. Meaning, she lives car-free. Andy's notepad is tiny, with a ballpoint pen stuck in. And here's something interesting about notepads in America. The higher the executive class, the larger and harder cover the notebook becomes. Partly because they have more to write. But generally a competent business person uses a notepad that gets bigger and bigger. And they don't use disposable ballpoint pens. All of this expresses Andy's life. What's fascinating about Hollywood films, especially women's films, is they show a person's whole life through visuals. In men's films, what car they drive, what liquor they drink, and what posters they have on the wall that says volumes. But in women's films, it's the small everyday objects shown carefully, and you instantly see. This woman's life stage is around here. From this point on, I was glued to the screen, thinking, yeah, The Devil Wears Prada is interesting. And, next. Just before leaving, she chooses accessories. The richest woman, by the window, has aroma candles. Among the aroma candles, in her usual accessory case, she picks today's pair. She has many variations. But she doesn't fuss over picking different ones daily, because she knows what she wants to do. So she picks one from a bunch that all look similar. And next. An Asian woman puts accessories on at her ears, checking how they look in the mirror. Checking the visual effect. And in contrast, third panel, Andy. Drinking coffee, getting ready for work. Hair is messy. Can you see? Hair messy. She's picking her best article from her university newspaper days. An article she wrote and got published in the college paper. Today she has a job as someone's assistant. And she picks an article that'll appeal there. She's looking at her schedule book, HR director written down. Interview written, and she's choosing her work piece. Right there. An American viewer would go, ah. This is a typical interview scene. Despite it being an interview, the others, just commuting normally, care about appearance. But Andy is heading to an interview with messy hair and just chapstick on. At this point, you can see Andy fundamentally misunderstands what work is. Andy thinks she should be chosen for substance over appearance. But appearance, in this film, is the proof of daily effort. Past achievements like, I had this job, I have this substance, That's the past. But every day, right now, how much you're sharpening yourself. How much effort you keep putting in. How much you're upgrading your stage, what you present first to others. Is your appearance. Without realizing this, Andy heads to her interview and she's about to learn the hard way. Playing throughout, the opening theme song. It's Suddenly I See by KT Tunstall. Suddenly I See, Suddenly I Understood is the song. Lyrics, her face is a map of the world, and she's beautiful, light shining around her. Suddenly I see, this is what I want to be. How important it is. Meaning, the looming Meryl Streep, the force, the personality, the monstrous character. The elegance, the competence overwhelms Andy. And makes her think, I want to be like that. Andy's destiny. Plus, why is her face described as a map of the world? Because the song theme links to the content. Actually, it's all on the surface if people are about substance. The medium that expresses substance is appearance. It's appearance, that's what they're saying. Same as us picking anime by its art style, basically. Like everyone says. I won't watch Mobile Suit Gundam or Future Boy Conan, the art's too old. And I think, isn't that judging by appearance? Anyway, never mind. Not just face, but appearance, i.e., how much daily effort you put into looks. That builds a person's world. That's the kind of theme song. They wove into the opening. Next, I'm off. Andy kisses her boyfriend. The cut just before, many women putting on shoes. All pin heels or high heels. By contrast, Andy lifts her foot a little and the shoe shown, while it has a heel, is a frumpy shoe. She kisses her boyfriend, but the photo's pinned above. They're stuck up bare. Not framed at all. Showing zero intent to make life beautiful. And the window, outside the window, a brick wall. Living in that kind of room. Probably near Manhattan, but if a wall is right outside the window, what kind of room is that? Boyfriend is reading the paper. And the paper has a crossword in it. He's not reading the Wall Street Journal. And this man, he's about to work at Babo's, a relatively decent but working-class New York restaurant. He says, I want to grab my chance and rise. But if you really want to rise, you wouldn't read a paper with crossword puzzles. You'd read the Wall Street Journal. That's what someone watching thinks. And my boyfriend reads the kind of paper too, that's the structure of complaint. All of these are signs of a lower class. Next, breakfast scene. Interesting, right? Honestly, I'm not really conscious about class or stages. If I were, I wouldn't look like this, or wear a Daffy Beer t-shirt this happily. But the Devil Wears Prada. As you watch, you're swept up in its values, yes. No men like this, or yes. This kind of woman is good, you say. In the end, it's love. That progression is part of what makes the film devilishly entertaining. Breakfast. First woman, arranged fruit. Yogurt not in Tupperware. This is Pyrex. She pours cereal directly into a glass Pyrex container. Why Pyrex? Because Pyrex has measuring marks. And she's strictly managing how much she eats. Meaning, she's managing her own diet. She has the most variety on the table. Next woman just ate almonds on a separate plate. Eating with coffee. Eating only nuts is something Michael Jackson did. And apparently Higashi from Shontai too. And it's the high stage person's standard. It's the high stage person's standard. Nuts only breakfast. By contrast, Andy buys a bagel from a bagel shop. A city bagel shop, with cream cheese piled high. And walks down the street eating it. Fourth thing, eating while walking. Here too, the stages keep diverging. Can you really get energy from that? From that breakfast? Some people might wonder, but... As a comment just pointed out, those people get energy from this. American grid is terrifying. And, the first time I thought, oh, the Devil Wears Prada is portraying class stages. The scene that revealed it was about the difference in apartments. First, the most successful, wealthy-looking woman. When she leaves her apartment, she goes down the steps. And there's a porch on the steps. Why a porch? Because there used to be a doorman. How do I explain? You see, the entrance of the apartment building is raised by 1 meter or 70 centimeters. And there are 3 or 4 steps down. There's no real need for a porch. But the porch is there because, on that porch in the past, there was a doorman. There isn't anymore, but living in a house with that kind of porch entrance. Look around. There are no shops at all. Which means, this is a high-end residential area, residential only. Then next, the in-store woman exits her apartment. There are shops here, but with big windows and bright high-end specialty stores. No tacky signs. And she has no porch. Just a normal handrail entrance. Probably, on her next move, she's definitely targeting an apartment with a porch. Third, Andy's apartment. Andy's apartment has no handrail at all, just 2 entrance steps. And those 2 concrete steps are crumbling. Sign of a bad place. Plus, the apartment door is left open. The 2 apartments above, when people go in and out, the door closes. Lock engages, security's there, but only Andy's apartment has the door left wide open, showing how poor a place it is. Or rather than the door being open, the dirt around the steps tells you the rent is cheap, and the slight cheapness of the next door shop. And here's what really hit me. So this this film is depicting these stages. What made me realize was which way the 2 are facing. The top 2, when leaving home, they're facing left, right? And that's not coincidence. Why? Well, primarily they're searching for a taxi. In America, cars drive on the right side. So taxis approaching them come from their left. Hence, searching to the left. Andy, by contrast, takes the subway. She doesn't take taxis, and because they take taxis. I thought, that makes sense, but the reason isn't only that. Manhattan Island, where the film is set, as established earlier, is long north to south. And starting north of Central Park heading north, it's uptown, high-end, expensive residential. And the business district is downtown. The south side, so they commute from north to south. By contrast, the protagonist Andy takes the subway from south to slightly north. Their commute directions are opposite. because they commute north to south. They face left, looking for southbound taxis. This isn't coincidence at all. It's properly designed. They portray it that way for several characters. I thought that was amazing. These small geographic details are like that. Adding trivia like this to convey stage difference. That's what makes Hollywood films interesting. Since it's hard to play with race anymore, stage differences have to be shown via behavior. And tiny details like this, or it becomes a problem later. The accumulation here is impressive. Then Andy steps outside and we see her neighborhood, covered in tacky signs. Ground floors are all shops, things like Chinese restaurants, and shops selling alcohol, meaning bad public safety. In high-end residential or shopping areas, you'd never have a ground floor liquor shop. That's how separated alcohol is from daily life there. Alcohol is for parties, etc. That's how high-stage Americans think. Then, after that, kids walking to school in groups. Children walking to school in a group. Group walking to school means the parents don't drive their kids to school. In New York, that's also lower class behavior. And one-way, these are one-way streets. Marked one-way. One-way streets means narrow road widths. So Andy lives in a neighborhood with very narrow streets. And one more thing I found fascinating, hard to see, but look here. On top of the building, you can see fire escapes, right? This is also a feature of lower-class buildings. Why is the fire escape on the front, the entrance side? Because they can't put it on the back. Because the backs of the buildings are joined together. American streets, there's a road, right? If there's a road, both sides have roads, so you can have an entrance. And here, two half-depth buildings get stuck together.